Today, we're putting ourselves in the shoes of the manufacturers. What would we do if we had power and control over the next model or next big decision of each one of these brands?
Well, this should be interesting.
We're going to have some fun.
We'll have some fun with this.
Let's start with Taylor Guitars. If you were in the driver's seat, you are Bob Taylor, Andy Powers. What's the next decision you would make?
More Urban Ash.
They've already made that decision.
No. In all seriousness, it would be bring back the R. Taylor brand of guitars. Something that's separate. I would take it down to one model. Just do like one model. Make very few handmade like they were. Just all handmade guitars.
Yeah.
Do that one thing, limited availability, small manufacturing, picking out the finest woods. That's what I would do if I were that.
Kind of like what they've done with Powers Electric too.
Right.
In some sense, keep it small, have just one model and focus on making that one guitar really well.
Yeah, as opposed to, you know, when they did electric guitars before, they went like crazy and just tried to become Fender. I think what would be a real change of pace for them is that bring back our Taylor guitars. I would love to see that.
Me too.
What would you think would be good for Gibson to do?
I was just thinking about this. I've actually mentioned this in the past. This is something I'd love to see Gibson do. Give us a menu for the custom shop. I'd love to see a menu for the custom shop, and maybe even going a step further, get master builders, get one-off builders where so-and-so can attach his name to the build, and we can pick the individual builder, pick the specs. I think that would be really cool.
I think that would be really cool too. It'd also be cool if they offered pickups that you could only get in the guitar or something, you know, or the ability to get some aftermarket pickups. Say you wanted to order a guitar with throwbacks. We actually got them to do that once. Once. But to be able to say like, I want this R9 with these throwbacks or whatever.
Yeah, more customization.
More customization. Defined options. I agree with you. That would be really cool.
Paul Reed Smith picks up the phone, calls Dave Lozon. What are you going to tell him to do next?
I would say have a custom shop. That's something that's not private stock, because private stock is a custom shop, right? But it's a certain price point. But make some availability of the regular guitars just in different finishes or more customizable options. I mean, wood library is, but just having like a regular custom shop for one-off kind of team-built guitars, I think that'd be really cool if they could do that.
I actually like the idea of expanding on what you said about wood library. Maybe doing wood library as a custom shop where a dealer doesn't have to order 10 guitars.
Of the same thing.
Yeah, of the same thing. Maybe it's a more limited spec, kind of like wood library is right now. But you can get a custom guitar, a custom finish, custom neck, things like that you can't normally get. Maybe a left-handed guitar.
Right.
Things like that where it gives the guitar players more options to get a custom guitar, and it gives dealers more options to do one-off instruments.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing I'd love to see them do, it should be really easy, is to open up like the Silver Sky platform to customizable things. So you could get like a humbucker in the bridge position.
I like that idea. You
know, and maybe do aging on that guitar as well. I mean, I know it's tied to John Mayer, so he's probably going to have to sign off his big JM on every decision.
I'm sure.
But it would be cool for them to expand their Fender style guitars with some customization options. How about another legacy brand? If you were Fender, what would you do next?
I'd actually like to see more hand-wired amps, maybe doing some blonde hand-wired amps, maybe doing a vintage bassman style amp, and really trying to match the quality of the vintage amps. Like if you can recreate your vintage amps as close as possible, I think that would be really well received.
Yeah, really going for it, but no price limit.
Yeah, just like make it costs what it costs. Make the amp.
Make it. Yeah, that would be amazing. And they are their amp designs, and everyone's pretty much ripping off what they do, so they should be able to do it.
Yeah, custom shop, small scale, and exactly like the vintage amps that people love.
Yeah.
Okay, one of your favorite brands, Two Rock. What would you do?
Well, I'd love to see more limited amps with like the NOS parts that they
Yeah.
did on some of those other runs, like anything. And give me different variations of the TS1 or an ODS style amp, like more variations of that. I think people that are into that type of amp would want to collect
Yeah.
them. You know, you could have, if you have different flavor of ODS amps, like you could own multiple of
For
them
sure.
as long as you can make it work, then you want that. I think that'd be really cool if they did some more limited edition amps.
Yeah, and that always seems to be really successful, at least on our end. When we get anything limited from Two Rock, you can't have enough of them.
Yeah.
Another brand that we carry that we both really like, Gretsch. What
Yeah.
would you do for Gretsch?
Well, most of Gretsch's professional series guitars are made in Japan, and they're great guitars. Then they do have custom shop guitars that are made in the Fender custom shop, but they're master built.
Right.
It'd be really cool if there was something in between, like maybe a team built Gretsch options.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think guitar players would love to get a Gretsch, kind of in that mid-price point between master built and the Japanese collection stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Now, I don't know if it's possible because of how they make these things with the jigs and everything. I know it's very like small scale what they're doing in the custom shop, but it would be cool.
It would actually be cool too, on that note, to just see Gretsch making some guitars in the US. I know years ago they had talked about, starting to build Gretsch in the US, but to this day, I don't think that's happened. So,
No,
yeah.
it hasn't. So, I wonder what that's about. But anyway, it would be cool to see more offerings from Gretsch. It's very difficult to get master built guitars. Like we have lots of master built Gretsch guitars on order, but they come in, they take a long time. So we often don't have anything at all. How about Powers electric guitars?
I've been dreaming about this one for a while, and I'm sure Andy has. The Powers electric B-type, the next guitar in this series. Solid body, 2 humbuckers. That's the idea. That's the whole idea. That's as far as I got, but maybe camtail bridge, some of the same specs that you can get right now. But I'd love to see that from Powers, getting a 2 humbucker solid body. That would be pretty cool. I think.
That would be cool. Another thing could be cool from them is some sort of like Collings I-35 size, semi-hollow, different body shape. It's like a semi-hollow, but with humbuckers.
Interesting.
Still maybe
idea.
that cool camtail bridge. I don't know.
Maybe it's time to get a seat on the board. Another one of your favorites, James Tyler guitars.
Yeah, I mean, they've done some different things. They have, remember we played like a 335 style guitar at the NAMM show once. It's cool.
It was cool.
I think it would go over really well, and I think this may be happening, is basses.
Yeah, they used to make basses. Was it in the 80s or 90s? They made...
I think in the 90s.
Was it one model that they made? So
yeah,
that would be cool to see those come back.
Yeah, pretty modern look. I could see with some of the smear finishes.
Yeah.
Be some really cool stuff. And bass players are usually a little more forward thinking than guitar players for the most part.
The esoteric stuff too, I'm sure.
So, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. What would you do if you're in the shoes of the manufacturer? What changes would you make? What updates would you make? What paths would you go down?
Let us know in the comments, unless it's robot tuners and wide metal nuts.
You'll be shadow banned and blocked. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to see more from us.